All right. Well, super excited to be adding Iona to the Connect platform, and we have assistant strength conditioning coach Juan Mitchell with us as well. And we kind of found out just before we started this recording that, we both walked a pretty similar path, having passed through U of M and then Eastern Michigan. I was quite a few years ahead of Juan here, but he's more recently been there, getting his undergraduate degree at U of M, go blue, and then also getting his master's in a year at Eastern Michigan, which is awesome. But now he's headed east, and he's on the East Coast, and he's the internship coordinator there at Iona for their program. So I'm going to hand over the mic here to Coach Mitchell. He's going to introduce himself with a bit more detail about maybe some of those experiences he had coming up into the field, and then we'll take it from there. So go ahead, Coach. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Stu. As you mentioned, my name is Juan Mitchell. I'm the assistant strength and conditioning coach here at Iona University. And as you mentioned, with my degree path so far, I've received my undergraduate degree from the University of Michigan and followed that up with getting my master's degree from Eastern Michigan University, which gave me my first glimpse into entering the field of strength and conditioning, as my first collegiate internship was with Eastern Michigan, where I primarily worked with football, women's soccer, and men's basketball. So during that time there, it was briefly after COVID, so it was a big transitional period. It was still a big introduction, just because I don't know if I wanted to still do this just because of how COVID was still going on. I was just making sure that I was getting my career path in line. And then immediately after receiving my degree from Eastern Michigan, I followed out by getting an internship with the University of Maryland, where I primarily worked with football. I was there from the start of their spring internship all the way to the end of their fall. So I spent a pretty lengthy time there, uh, just about a year there over at Maryland, where I was able to be under the internship coordinator who was there, Jake View, who is currently now the director of football performance at Towson University, who had a big imprint on me. So I think being able to be under his wing is what a great glimpse into field strength conditioning and what's led me to my position now as current intern.
Yeah, cool. So football at Eastern Michigan, football at Maryland as well. So did you play football growing up? Was there a passion for that originally, or like, what was the decision there?
It's kind of weird because I've never played football a day in
Uh-huh.
my life. It's kind of hard to say that because of how big I am, currently 250, 255 pounds, walking around. But since I was young, track and field has always been my sport. I've always been a very avid runner. Main events were the 200 and the 400-meter dash. So those were my main things growing up. Football would have been interesting, but this wasn't that for me.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm learning more about you. One is never challenge you to a foot race. Kick everyone's ass. No, that's cool. Well, good. No, great experiences, and yeah, tough time like post COVID. Yeah, do I want to be in a field where I have to work face to face with people in an environment that's not conducive to it right now? But looks like we're out of the woods, so you're back into it and have landed the full-time position. So yeah, hats off to you and congratulations. So then let's like dive into like where you are now, and obviously being not just a strength conditioning coach there, but also the internship coordinator and someone who's responsible for developing professionals and astute practitioners in this field of strength conditioning or sports performance or whatever you want to call it. Um, if there's a young coach who's watching this video right now and they're considering an internship or at least an application to Iona for your internship program, can you just paint a bit of a picture for them as to like what do things look like there for a young coach? What is the kind of weekly cadence? Am I going to be there early in the morning? Is it all day? Is it sometimes half day, sometimes full days? Like what is the kind of typical picture that they can expect?
I think that's the best thing about coming in as a young strength coach, that amount of variety in your days is going to be great. Or there are typically our days start with at 6 a.m. with our very first team entering the weight room, and it'll go on to 5 p.m. with our last team entering. Being that we have two weight rooms on campus, we're able to space teams out very heavily. So there's not going to be too much time where we won't have any time to panic in between having teams back to back to back to back. So we always have the available space to make sure that interns are comfortable coaching uh, teams in a timely manner, but also make sure they're having time in between the days to make sure that we're reevaluating how we're doing through the day, what went well in our first session, how can we improve on it, and also give us time to work on our mini projects that we do have during the internship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's good. I like that you mentioned, the time in the day to be able to just like one, like breathe for a second, but then two, kind of, yeah, give some feedback on those sessions. And I mean, not necessarily just for the young coaches is that beneficial, but for those of us that have been in the profession for a while, is like taking a second to say, okay, yeah, exactly what went well and why did it go well? What could be better and how can we make that change next time? But great to be able to involve young coaches in that kind of thought process, that loop of like consistently evaluating how to get better. I think that's a huge part of any young coach's development, is to be able to develop that kind of mindset rather than just like going through things day after day and just taking things for granted. So that's really cool. Now, as we talk about the development of these young coaches, and you've mentioned, they're out on the floor, they're coaching. It might be from 6 a.m. through 5 p.m. Big variety of groups coming through those two weight rooms. What about those kind of spaces in between where, yes, you can develop coaching skills through coaching, but maybe you're looking to develop other knowledge and other expertise that you necessarily can't just get by doing out on the floor? So tell us about your curriculum a little bit. Tell us about, again, what does that look like? Is it going to be classroom-based sessions? Are you out on the floor doing development as well? Bit of both, give us a picture there.
Main thing that we focus on for our curriculum, especially in between sessions, is we focus on the logistics that come about being with a coach. Um, of course, we have sessions where we strictly go over programming based on in-season, off-season teams, where they at in their part of the year. We have sessions where we go over developing the energy systems, working on our conditioning for both field and court athletes. But I think the biggest thing that we involve in all of those conversations is the logistics. Based on size of the weight room, amount of people in the room at one time, uh, programming based on if you will be the only coach in the room, a programming Olympic list, will you be able to have all eyes on deck when you're doing these things as a team, the team lifting after or before they practice?
Mm-hmm.
These are things that we go over that may not be gone over in a typical internship because they may not have that much insight based on how that's being conveyed through this strictly coaches. But I want that to be a big thing that's given to the interns, so it's not something that's blindsided by them. Because a big part of logistics is being very flexible with how things are going in the whether through how the athletes are feeling on a day-to-day basis or based on schedule changes, practice changes. So those are a lot of situations and scenarios that we bring about just so athletes aren't totally unaware to it as they go forward past Iona and get into their own.
Yeah, love that. Love that. There's a phrase you said there, which is like not being blindsided when it happens to them. And I feel like, sometimes like failure is the best teacher, right? When you get hit in the face with something, you're like, damn, not going to do that again. Good teaching moment. But the more we can prep young coaches for those moments and maybe give them a bit of a lead on it and say, be prepared for these kind of things because they can happen, the more likely they're going to be able to approach those problems with like a better solution and have a better outcome like as a result. So that's great. Yeah. So I think that's something that's sometimes missed, honestly, in internship programs. We tend to jump into like, let's teach them about force plate technology, and that's all well and good. But, what about the stuff that happens like, over and over and over again where you could screw up and that's, and maybe put safety at risk. So to have those leading conversations is cool. Now, this internship program at Iona is obviously young. You stepping in there, taking over the reins and kind of building this thing. I know that Coach Rich Irving, coming from Albany, He's going to bring with him his own network of intern coaches that he developed while he was there. You've obviously had steps at Maryland, Eastern Michigan as well, of fellow intern coaches that you knew there that are also in the field. So even though this internship program is currently young, you guys already have this big network out there in the States of people that ultimately, after somebody has completed their internship with you guys, you have this network to be able to reach out to say, hey, so and so performed really well for us at our internship. Maybe you should consider them for the GA position that you guys just posted, or that assistant position that you guys have open. So that's great, and I'm looking forward to how much your program continues to grow in these next couple of years. It's going to be really good for you. So when we think about these newcomers to your program, these new faces in your room, obviously you're trying to mesh personalities and passions of these young coaches. Who's going to fit with us? Do they really want to be in this? When you get a email come into your inbox with an application from a young coach who like you don't know, like what are you looking for in that application material? What are you hoping that somebody's going to be able to convey to you when you get them on a phone call? Like what are those soft skills or those hard skills that you're looking for in new intern coaches?
I think the biggest thing is just, do you really want to do this? I think there's a difference between wanting to do this and doing it because it feels good right now. And especially coming in as a very young coach, you have the idea that things are going to go at such a pace that where you're able to transition over to different positions and make a linear movement. But I think the biggest thing that I want to see is, I want to see, are you truly passionate about not only strength and conditioning, but are you passionate about being able to help athletes reach their full? Because at the end of the day, even though we are strength and conditioning coaches, we deal with people. We don't deal with robots. We don't deal with androids who can be worked on and be inputted with systems every single day. We work with people who have day-to-day emotions, day-to-day changes in them. So are you able to not only manage the different relationships that you're going to build in your position, but are you also going to invest in the athlete? Because an athlete can very much tell when you are not invested, and it's very much going to show in the way that you coach and the way that you command the way. So I think I want to see how much are you willing to input into the position, not necessarily looking to see what you can get out of it. Even
Yeah.
though this is an internship and you're looking to build upon the knowledge you're probably learning upon the textbook knowledge, again, you're looking to get the practical experience. But are you looking to reach the next level by getting that real life input from student athletes who are in the flow of the season or just coming off season, athletes who are doing return to play? So it's a big variety of athletes and situations that you're going to have to come into contact with. So I want to make sure that you're getting into this for the very right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing this for the wrong reasons, then you won't last very long.
Yeah.
Based on your interest in the sport, in the field, and also based on if you're able to cultivate those relationships effectively.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to those who are very passionate about the field. And one of the things that I learned from my internship at the University of Maryland under Ryan Davis, who was the director of football at
Yeah.
Maryland, who's still currently there. The first thing he told me on our first day of the internship was, you need to have the ability to critically think. And the reason that stuck with me the most is, right now we have 19 teams here at Iona University with 4 full-time strength and conditioning coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, this isn't going to be, I'm holding your hand throughout the internship. I want from day one you to come in, and I want you to be another active coach on the floor. In title, you will be an intern, but to the athletes and to the rest of the coach in the weight room, you are another coach on the floor. I want you to be as hands-on as you can be from day one. I would rather have to reel someone back in than have to push them forward out into find their coaching voice, being able to get the cues out. Because I think I would always love to bring somebody down to have to ramp them up. If you have that in you, then you have that in you. And I think that's going to be a very bright spot for interns coming in.
Yeah, love to hear that. So just to kind of to recap that, it sounds like you're looking for people with passion and authenticity, but also or I guess more descriptively, people who have outward passion for other people and not necessarily just for their own development. Like, I want to do this because this is all about me. It's not, it's about, I want to do this because it's about the person in front of me and the person I'm trying to make better. So to be able to convey that across your application material here, to be able to speak to that and demonstrate that is going to be big. And also, you know, I guess just like you mentioned at the end there, being someone who is part of the solution, not part of the problem, someone who's a self-starter, someone who's going to try and add value from day one, someone who's going to be so good that at the end of the internship, you guys are like, man, we really want to keep this person around. Like, can we create a position for them? Like that's the kind of person that you're looking for. Gotcha. Well, good. Well, hey, Coach, I really appreciate your time here and investing in the front end of the profession and helping these young coaches, one, find their footing, and then two, help them to move on to the next step, ultimately, whatever that is for them, whether it is continuing in strength conditioning or moving into an adjacent field or whatever it might be. But just as you've talked about, you're looking for young coaches who are invested in other people. Like, we can see the investment that you have in the next generation of the profession. So we kind of tip our hat to you and thank you for everything that you guys are doing to be able to make that happen. For any young coaches who are watching this video and are interested in an internship at Iona, obviously all the details are on the page below here. You can find out more about the curriculum, about the application materials that are required, the dates, durations, deadlines, all that stuff. I'm sure, Coach, here, if anyone had any further questions in and around this internship, they could shoot you an email and you'd be able to get back to them when time permits. But like I said, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and your investment. And we look forward to bringing more young professionals your way here and in the future.